What's up everybody? Welcome to Chemical Guy's Detail Garage. Do you guys want your car to look as best as possible, or you just want to know how to properly remove those scratches and swirls that give your car that awful look? Well, stay tuned for today's video where we're going to show you the proper way to choose the right product and also how to properly use it. Since every vehicle is different, it means that every vehicle is going to need a different regimen when it comes to polishing. So today we've set aside all of our pads as well as our polishes to show you guys which one to use and when to use it. So we'll start off with the pads here, and we have them lined up in their aggressiveness. And starting down here, we have our yellow pad, which is designed to remove deep scratches and swirls or heavy oxidation. And this is something that you'd use with a heavy compound, such as V32 or V34. Then moving on down the line, we have our orange Hexlogic pad, which is where we start off with. Typically, it's our go-to pad, and we like to use this with V36, which is a cutting polish. And this combination typically removes moderate scratches and swirls, which is average vehicles have or most commonly seen. And it's also just a great baseline whether you need to go up or you can go down, step down your polishes. And then you move down the line with our green Hexlogic pad, which is for more sensitive paint or for a finer cut polish. And then we have a white Hexlogic pad for our final polish, which we typically use with V38. And this is just going to jewel the paint. It removes any kind of marring or tiger striping to really enhance the depth of the vehicle. And then lastly, we have our 3 finishing pads, which is going to be for applying glaze, sealant, or waxes. Just very soft pads that you use on the low speed setting with your dual action polisher to spread a very fine coat of your favorite glaze, sealant, or wax. And this is going to save you time, effort, and as well as product. Now over here, we've also set up our V line of polishes, starting with the most aggressive V32, which cuts through deep scratches and swirls, heavy oxidation, or any kind of really deep imperfections. And then you can refine it using V34, which is a hybrid compound, which means it starts off aggressive and then it diminishes into a finer polish. And then again, we have our V36, which is a cutting polish, which is again where we're going to start. This is our baseline, and it can remove those very fine scratches and swirls, and typically is good for a one-step polish. And then lastly, we have V38, which is our final polish to really jewel the paint and bring out the gloss. Now, before we got started, we already washed the vehicle and clay barred it, which removed any of the embedded contamination. In our previous video, Joey showed you guys how to properly use a clay bar and also prep for polishing. So if you haven't checked it out, double back, check out that video before we start our polishing job. And now we're going to use Wipeout, which removes any kind of last oils or residue before we start our polishing job, just so we can get a for sure clean result and also that there's nothing left on the surface. But to begin here, we also have 2 of our machines over here, and we're just going to go over what they are and how to use them and also when to use them. We have a rotary polisher, which means it only rotates on one axis. And then also a dual action polisher, which has 2 axes, meaning that it rotates and then also oscillates around that rotation. This is safe for newbie polishers or novice polishers, and also this is going to be the only way that you can spread your glazes, sealant, and waxes, because even when you're using a rotary polisher on the low speed setting, it still has the potential to cut. So if you're looking to spread glazes, sealant, waxes by machine, a dual action or random orbital is the way to go. And again, you would use that with your soft finishing pad and the lowest speed setting. But for today, we're going to be using our orange Hexlogic pad, which I mentioned earlier is going to be our baseline where we're going to start, and also our V36. So before we get started with polishing, let's use our Wipeout to wipe away anything that's on the surface, whether it's body oils from your hands or any kind of remaining clay luber or any dirt from the surface. This will clean away any remaining oils. You can also do this at the end of your polishing job just to ensure that there's no polish or compound residue left on the surface. And this will make it easier for your next coating or your glaze, sealant, wax combination to bond to the surface, because it'll be completely clear and clear of debris. And over here we have our Torque 15DA, which is a dual action polisher, which again means that it oscillates and also rotates on 2 different axes, which is going to be great for anyone who's new to polishing, or if you're working on sensitive paint work, or basically spreading out your favorite glaze, sealant, wax combination. And the reason for this is because this dissipates heat a lot better because it's not centralizing heat in one central area. This reduces the chance of burning or marring your paintwork. And now we're going to use our orange Hexlogic cutting pad. Make sure it's centered as best as possible. And then V36, which is the polish that we're going to be using for today. This refines and diminishes a very fine layer of clear coat. This removes those scratches and swirls that you see in your paint, giving you that spider web effect, which is very obvious on dark colors such as the black car that we're working on today. And we're going to use about 5 dime-sized drops, or the size of 1 hex, for every panel that we're working on, or every 2x2 panel at least. And we'll spray it with pad conditioner, which moistens the pad, and this reduces the dusting effect, but it also helps reduce some of the friction so it can properly break down and give the polish its work time without burning the paint or marring. And we'll start by blotching it out on the paint, and then on the lowest speed setting, we're going to spread it out, and then on the highest speed setting, when you're using a dual action polisher, this is how we're actually going to refine it and break down the polish. So now I'll move over to the vehicle, and a pro tip is to always throw the cord over your shoulder, because as you're polishing, you can lap up against the vehicle, causing light scratches or even dents, depending on how hard it hits the vehicle. So just a precaution, put it over your shoulder or behind you so you're not harming the vehicle. And now we're going to start by blotching it out on the surface, working in about a 2x2 foot section, which is about the width of your shoulders. And I like to work from the center out. This way I'm not leaning over the vehicle as much as possible so that we can, again, prevent harming the vehicle. And as you see here, we also taped off this area, and the reason for that is because this vehicle has a clear bra on the front end, and we don't want to polish that because one, it could stain it, and two, it could either cause it to peel or lift. So we've backmasked it so that it doesn't have the potential of harming it. And we've also split the hood here just to give you guys a before and after, that little 50-50 transformation. But now we're going to use the lowest speed setting to spread this out. But before we get started, I just want to keep a few things in mind, and that is to always keep the pad flat. When using a dual action polisher, you only want to use about the weight of your hand, and maybe a little bit more. You'll hear the tone change in the machine, but also you want to make sure that the pad is always spinning. This way you know that you're actually removing material and breaking down your polish, because if you put too much pressure on there or if you have too much angle, it'll cause the pad to stall and stop. And basically what that means is it's not going to be doing any kind of correction. It's basically just going to be vibrating in one area, which is going to be a waste of time. You're not going to get the results that you're looking for. So again, keep it flat, and also whichever hand you are, left-handed or right-handed, you want to make sure that your guiding hand is back here, and this is going to help it from tilting side to side. And again, this will help you kind of keep it flat, and then this hand is what's going to keep it nice and pressure on there, and also help to make sure that you're doing the right job. So now again, on the low speed setting, we're going to spread this out, and then on the highest speed setting, which is going to be speed setting 6 on this machine, we're actually going to break it down and refine that clear coat. So as you see, the polish has gone basically clear. What I recommend doing is to give it about 3 or 4 passes, and that'll be about enough time for it to break down and go translucent. And then give it one final pass just to make sure there's nothing left on the surface. And now we'll take a clean microfiber towel and buff off the excess or anything that's left on the surface. And this way we can check our work. It's always good to have soft or high quality towels. This way we're not inducing any minor scratches or light hazing as we're wiping off, because it's a real pain when you've polished a whole vehicle and then as you're giving it your final wipe down, now you're leaving behind fine scratches. So again, using a workhorse towel, which is great for, you know, wiping off your polishes or quick detail sprays or waterless washes. This is that higher quality of detailing. But already you can see there's a difference between even the side we just polished and the side that we haven't polished, or the before and after, because there's a light haze, which is just the collection of marring and scratches and swirls. And the way it absorbs the light, it gives you this kind of gray or dull finish. So polishing not only removes the scratches, swirls, water spots, but it also enhances the look of your vehicle. And on a dark color car, it adds that depth and giving that flawless finish. So now we're going to finish off this half, and then we can show you guys the before and after. But that was just one simple product using V36. You could also jewel it again using a white pad in V38, which we'll probably do just to give you guys a true transformation before and after. But it's going to be that same process. We're going to use the 5 dots and then break it down completely using the cross-hatching pattern. And again, you want to cover about 50% of your last pass, working at about 1 inch per second. That's going to be your arm speed, and it should look like a roll of coins as you're working. So this way you know that you're completely breaking it down softly and gently so that it gets the best finish, and also you're removing the same amount of clear coat over the entire surface. So after completing the polishing step using V36 with an orange Hex Logic pad, we're going to refine the finish, which is going to be called a 2-step polish, referring to that we're using V36 and V38. So now I've already set up a 5-inch white Hex Logic pad, which is going to be our final polishing pad. And we're going to use the V38. And again, we're going to shake up the bottle, mixing up the whole solution together. And the same dime size dots, we're going to use about 5 of those. And this just helps to bring out the gloss. It takes away any of the tiger striping or marring that you may have accumulated from polishing. But the best way to avoid that is to, again, keep the pad completely flat at all times. Watch your speed, referring to your arm speed as well as the machine speed. And this will reduce the chances of marring it or causing any kind of tire stripes or holograms. So we'll splotch it on the paint. And again, we're working from the center out, because like I'd mentioned, it's a better idea than leaning over a surface that you've already polished. And also, if you're wearing baggy clothes, you want to make sure that's not up against the vehicle, or if you're wearing a belt, do what I do and I turn it off to the side so the buckle is not going to have any chance of coming in contact with the paint. Again, we'll spread this out, and then we'll use the lowest speed setting to give it the coat, and then we'll also use the highest speed setting to diminish it and then reveal the shine. So even by using a two-step polish, you're still not going to get 100% paint correction, but that's okay, because on a car like this where it has really deep scratches and swirls or heavy water spots, you just want to get as much of that off as possible. This way you can add depth and restore that gloss, but you want to keep in mind that every time you polish, you're removing a very fine layer of the clear coat, and it doesn't regrow and it doesn't regenerate. So by polishing the least amount as possible, this is going to help your paint last as long as it can. And the best way to avoid scratches and swirls is obviously during the washing and drying process. You want to use as much foam as possible to absorb any abrasive particles. And you also want to wipe in singular or linear directions. This way you're not creating swirls, which are very noticeable and very hard to polish out. But a lot of people ask us, how long does a polish last? But it's not like a coating where it has a lifespan, but basically it's the technique that you use. This way that your vehicle will look as best as possible without inducing any kind of harm or scratching the surface. So now that this side of the vehicle is polished, or this side of the hood is polished, we're going to take the tape off and bring out the lights, or we'll take it outside to show you guys the before and after. But it's going to be the same process to restore the gloss on the rest of the vehicle. And the same process can be used in your guys' cars, whether it's a black car or any color car, truck, vehicle, anything basically, to get the same look and the same gloss. And also, again, we're just going to touch back on this, where whenever you're working on anything that's vinyl, you want to make sure that you take the precaution and tape it up. Same thing for trim, because they can stain very easily, and also this gives that really nasty look. So take the time and the patience to properly mask it off. And again, same thing with your polishing. It takes practice, it takes patience to get it right, but when it's done, it looks fantastic. So we're going to take this car outside to give you guys that true unveil. But in the meantime, you guys can check out these products on our website, chemicalguys.com, or your local detail garage. If you liked today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, drop your comments down below for future videos, and stay tuned for the coating process where we show you how to properly protect your vehicle after it's been polished. And we'll see you guys next time.